Danger Dolan. NASA215 asks, Steady, I was hoping you could explain the impending item squish that we are apparently working towards and how it would affect us. Alright, so Ghostcrawler explains everything in a blog post from 2011. It is linked below this video if you want to have a look. But the gist is that with each new expansion, they have to increase the eye level, the base eye level, in order to make sure you don't do the new content in the new expansion with your old gear, because the stat upgrades are just negligible. I still remember back at the start of BC, my brother told me that everyone has to upgrade their purples with green gear from Outland. I thought it was pretty funny at the time. I didn't really understand it, but when you look back at it now, it's kind of like a soft reset, so everyone starts off with the same gear and then they upgrade from there. It means if you weren't there for all of vanilla, you can jump right in and catch up. So they have two solutions for this gear inflation, and the first one is mega damage. Instead of doing 6 million damage, you now do 6 mega damage. Maybe for 600,000 damage, you do 600 super damage. And it goes on like that. The only problem there is it doesn't really solve the issue, it just sugarcoats it with something that looks nice. And the engine still overheats due to the high numbers. They'd still need to fix that. Because in a recent Gamescom interview, Joystick reveals from game director Tom Chilton and lead content designer Corey Stockton that the code is starting to get difficult to compute. So they're hoping to roll out the item squish before the next expansion, just like how leveling content was released from Cataclysm, and it came out in a pre-patch, not in the actual expansion launch. And the second solution is just called the item squish, where, as you can see on this chart right here, they just nerf the stats on old gear nobody cares about anymore, and they squish all the eye levels across the board, as well as NPC health and ability damage. It basically just means that the Mr. Pandaria gear would be the same for the next expansion, but from Vanilla through to Cataclysm, it would all be squished down to very small incremental increases in gear level. So maybe in Outland you only go up 10 gear levels, same with Northrend and Cataclysm, and then Mr. Pandaria you jump up like 50. See, this solution would fix the problem completely, but it's not a permanent solution, so they need to do it again a few expansions later, or squish as they go. It also sucks doing less damage when you're used to seeing DPS in the 100,000s. Like, I have some guildies who really like when they crit with a shadow bolt for like 1,000,000 damage, and to go from that to like 20,000 damage, it kind of suck, I guess. It doesn't affect me that much because I'm a tank, but I know a lot of people that would kind of be upset. Another major downside with the squish is that people would not be able to solo old content because obviously your eye levels drop too much, you can't take on these old bosses by yourself. But Ghostcrawler chimes in on Twitter, and he confirms that the item squish would not affect your ability to solo older content. He even asks people to stop leaving feedback on that issue because he believes it to be moot. I mean, if you think about it, they can solve the issue just by giving like a buff when you zone into the instance. So if you're at like level 90 and you zone into a level 80 instance, maybe the boss's health is the same, but you have a buff that increases your stats by like 100%, just if you go in by yourself. Just an example, but he obviously isn't worried about the issue, and he knows it is important to people. Well, this item squish really depends on how long they're gonna think the game is gonna last, like 3 years, 6 years, 12 years, or more importantly, how long the game's engine is gonna last. From the sounds of it from recent interviews and that kind of thing, I'm pretty sure they're going to go with the item squish instead of mega damage. And in that case, it's going to last a few expansions and they'll have to do it again. So maybe one day, instead of just rebooting WoW or making a sequel, they'll just redo the engine, give up-to-date graphics, and solve all these issues that they didn't foresee back when they made the game like 9 years ago. Of course, personally, I feel that the mega damage solution is more enticing, simply because from a casual standpoint, right? You're now aiming for a bigger, fancier word instead of some high, abstract number. But I also feel like people won't really notice the change since most big numbers are shortened to 100k or 10m already. It'll just be easier to say to your friend, I did 6 super damage instead of I did 627,631 damage. But the fact is, most people won't even notice that it happened. Because of all the changes when a new expansion comes out, people aren't going to look at their stats and be like, oh man, my stats have gone down by 1,000, this is terrible, the game sucks. They're going to be doing the exact same amount of damage to a mob because the mob has been nerfed too, everything's been nerfed. Like, I mean, would you complain if we got a vanilla WoW server and you felt significantly weaker than you did on your Pandaria main? It's just looking at something from a different angle. They were going to talk about this at the last BlizzCon before Pandaria launched, but since they figured people wouldn't be interested in it that much, they just didn't allot the time to do it. So it's more of a small issue. It wouldn't really affect you if you're not heavy into the numbers and min-maxing, that kind of thing. That's it for this chat box. If you'd like to see me cover a gameplay topic really quick, leave a comment below. Have a good one.